All right. So everyone, welcome. This is, one of my favorite events that Global Chamber does. It's the League of Global Nonprofits. It's my honor to moderate this event. We have some excellent organizations, excellent leaders here to present their impact. And I'm more of the type for me to not talk as much and really kick things off. And so I would like to say good day to everyone and welcome to a session of inspiration and transformation. Today, we'll start out. We're thrilled to introduce our first presenter, Harold D'Souza, co-founder of Eyes Open International. From a survivor of labor trafficking and debt bondage to a beacon of hope, Harold's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Eyes Open International stands as a testament to his courage, leading the fight against modern-day slavery with survivor-informed expertise. This organization empowers victims to become survivors and champions, using grassroots methods to ignite awareness and change. Harold's story is a stark reminder of the hidden complexities of human trafficking. He brings his deep personal insight to forums from Harvard to the United Nations, advocating for some of the most vulnerable and marginalized. As we listen to Harold today, let's embrace the spirit of resilience and action that Eyes Open International embodies in its mission to free the world from the shackles of trafficking. Please join me in warmly welcoming Harold D'Souza to our panel. Harold, it's all yours.
Greeting, friends. Thank you, Doug, Cesar, and Jacob, and all my friends for joining this platform today. I'll dive in straight. I am a survivor of labor trafficking and debt bondage in the United States of America. I was invited on an H-1B visa as a business development manager on a $75,000 salary per year plus benefits. And when I came with my wife and my two sons, who were 7 and 4 years old. So labor trafficking in the United States of America takes places at 4 places: restaurants, gas stations, convenience stores, motels, and various other places like agriculture, farming, massage parlors. But in the first 4 places, I got re-victimized. So we were made to work in a restaurant. So we were working from 14 hours to 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days. The overall objective of my mission is to create awareness, prevention, and protection of vulnerable populations so he or she does not become a victim of any crime. So that is, at one point, I was not talking for 10 years, friends. So today, my purpose in life is to be the voice for the voiceless victim. I always tell survivors are poor starters, but strong finishers in life. Every survivor has a passion, talent, and treasure of wisdom. We have to give them an opportunity to perform their talent and treasure of wisdom. So again, I want to thank Doug, Global Chambers, for inviting a common survivor on this platform and trying to share my journey from hurt to happiness, pain to pleasure, slavery to success, darkness to light. So I'll be very short because I just have 7 or 8 minutes, but you can always go on Google and check what I do. So there was what I went through was next to impossible. My trafficker created a debt bondage on me, and I just want to give an example how victims of labor trafficking become debt bondage. So in the year 2003, my trafficker told me, Harold, you got to take a bank loan. But anyway, he takes me to the bank. And within 5 minutes, I get a check in my name. I never applied for a bank loan, friends. Just understand that. So there's a check in my name for 5 figures. And by the way, all perpetrators and traffickers are multi-millionaires. It's a $150 billion industry. The risk factor is very thin. The profit margins are very thick. Even today, out of 10, 9 do not get prosecuted. Anyway, so there's a check in my name of 5 figures. He takes me to his multi-million-dollar house and tells me, Harold, let's celebrate. So he puts a scotch in a glass, short glass, and tells Harold, cheers, you're a rich man. And friends, by the time the scotch could reach my stomach, he removes a chit from his pocket and tells me, Harold, you owe me this money. Friends, it was not $10,000. It was not $20,000. It was not $40,000. It was much more. So in 1 second, I lost 4 things. I lost my voice. I lost my courage. I lost my hope, and I lost my freedom. But before I could understand what hit me, he taps me on my back and says, come on, let's go. You owe me much more. At that particular time, friends, it didn't click the bulb that it was debt bondage. Next day, he withdrew all the money from my bank account. I always share that in God's home, there is delay, no denial. So that same chit was in the hands of the FBI. A couple of years later, they matched the handwriting, and that is how I could win the case. In 2015, I was appointed by President Barack Obama to the United States Advisory Council on Human Trafficking. President Barack Obama was the first president in the history of America who started this council. And it was during that period when I was told that, you should start a non-profit organization. And that is how I started this non-profit organization called Eyes Open International, which is registered under 501c3 in the United States of America. So there are 4 things I always tell that traffickers even today in the United States of America use for immigrants. Number 1, I'll get you arrested. Number 2, I'll get you handcuffed. Number 3, I'll get you jailed. And number 4, I'll get you deported. So what happens in the mind, body, and soul? The victim thinks that he or she is a criminal. My trafficker friends never ever called me by the name of Harold. In labor trafficking, every victim has only one nickname. My trafficker used to snap his finger like this and tell me, hey, illegal, come here. He used to always snap his finger. So my nickname was illegal. So these are various things, red flags that you all have to understand, respect, and recognize. I always talk about problems, resources, red flags, and solutions. So we save numbers on a cell phone. So always share that. Please save the number of National Human Trafficking hotline number in the United States of America, which is 1-888-3737-888. I will just end on one note. So there is a Bollywood documentary film coming up on me by Martin Sheen, who is the executive producer, and I always know Doug promotes my my story. So the teaser trailer is out, which is called To Be Free. Benjamin Ryan Nathan is the producer director, and there is a Bollywood biopic, blockbuster silver screen movie coming up of me from India, and a professional actor is going to act. So my entire story will be out there. I'll just end on one note, friends. Be happy, think positive, never quit, and believe in yourself. Thank you very much, Jacob.
Harold, thank you so much. And I know that all of us are very grateful to hear your story and can learn from that. I mean, we need to be more comfortable talking about these very uncomfortable and horrible things that are happening out in the world. So yes, I'd love to open it up for about 5 minutes of questions, and we'll start with Philip.
I'm sorry. Okay, go first.
Me? Go first? Okay. Harold, are you familiar with the guy named Paul Hutchinson of the Child Liberation Foundation? The Child Liberation Front?
I've heard of it. Can you?
So I had a podcast called Global Gurus, Stories of International Business, in which Doug has appeared. The 70th and final episode is an interview with this guy, Paul Hutchinson, who was the founder of the Child Liberation Front and the producer of the movie, whose name I just blocked out, but the famous movie that's been out about child trafficking. I'll put in the chat the link to this interview. And if you want to, he's usually around the world liberating children from slavery, all over, but I can introduce you to him or to his assistant, and perhaps you can collaborate, your 2 organizations.
Yeah, thank you very much, Philip. I always believe in collaboration, connections, commitment. So I'm very happy, and I will share my email ID or the cell phone number. So please feel free to connect with me. Thank you very much, Philip. I really appreciate that.
Sure. Pleasure.
Thanks, you, Philip. I think Maya, did you have a question or comment or suggestion for Harold?
Yeah, sorry guys, I'm in the car, but I didn't understand what exactly happened. Like, can somebody just tell me, like, I didn't get it. I understand he was kind of trapped because he was illegal, and but like they offered him money and then they made it like that he owes them money. I just don't understand. Can you explain?
Yeah, Maya. So what I want to share that I came to the United States of America legally
Okay.
on an H-1B visa, which is a work visa, on a $75,000 salary.
Okay.
So I came for a job as a business development manager, but I was manipulated, tricked, and trapped by my trafficker. He didn't pay us a single penny for 18 months.
Oh.
So if you go on Google and put my name, you will get my entire story. I cannot share my entire journey in 7 minutes or 8 minutes. But this is very huge in the United States of America. It will be happening in your backyard. Or if you
So
go to
you didn't end up suing him?
I did that. But see, there are 6 states in the United States of America where there was no law on human trafficking. And Ohio was one of the states. So always tell that every human being or survivor has the power to change the outcome. In 2012, the governor passed a law, and today it is a felony. So I fought. My trafficker hired a guy to kill me. Do you know that? So it's different. So that's why people don't come out. So when you see blood, when you see your death, you don't want anything. You don't want money. You don't want freedom. You don't want green card. You don't want US citizenship. Your entire mind changes. And many times our victims get prosecuted. And that is why I'm raising this awareness. I'm an advocate at the United Nations. I'm an ambassador. And I promote the 30 articles. Article 1 says everyone is born free and equal. Article 4 says no slavery. Article 5 says no torture. So these are certain things I didn't know. So once I learned, I'm trying to educate people. I'm trying to save people. Does that answer your question?
Thank you for doing that. I mean, that's criminals. They should go to jail. I mean,
yes, see, now you got it. And that's why I say when you save one victim, you save one survivor. But when you prosecute one perpetrator, you're saving hundreds of victims. And so whenever you see a victim, we need to be very caring, compassionate with them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Maya. Are there any other questions? If not, we have one more minute, and Harold, I'd love to ask you a question in terms of your empowerment approach. And so in your journey of transforming victims into survivors, what strategies have proven most effective in fostering resilience and hope among the people you serve?
Yeah, so many times victims are not knowledgeable that there are resources available like continued presence. Like continued presence is a status, a CP. So if you are a victim of labor trafficking and an immigrant from a foreign country, even if you do not have a passport, for any common man to survive in the United States of America, you need 4 things. You need a state ID, you need a work permit, you need a social security card, and freedom. So with this, if they are a victim, only law enforcement agencies have the power to provide the CP, continued presence status. So Eyes Open International connects them with the law enforcement agencies, and we have provided continued presence status, a U visa, a T visa, a permanent residency card, and eventually the freedom that is US citizenship. Why I say this so proudly, Jacob, my FBI agent walked the talk with me with this process. So I was granted a CP, a U or T visa, then a permanent residency card in the US citizenship. So I think empowerment is very important. And once they get that, the counseling is another part. And then right now I'm working on 2 projects in the US. One is a male shelter home, and second is expungement of felonies in the cases of human labor trafficking. So friends, please follow my organization called Eyes Open International, or follow me or get connected on LinkedIn or social media, that's Facebook. Thank you very much, Jacob.
Yeah, you're very, very welcome. And thank you, Harold. And so following Harold's enlightening insights, I'd like to now turn to a true ambassador of empathy and understanding, Susan Asadi, co-founder and president of the remarkable nonprofit Safed House. In this sanctuary, the voices of refugees and immigrants are amplified, celebrated, and empowered to share their unique stories and integrate into the American societal fabric. Drawing inspiration from the historic town of Safed, Safed House transcends cultural barriers under Susan's leadership, fostering a space where diverse refugee stories transform from mere statistics to powerful narratives of resilience and contribution. With initiatives like the Legacy Essay Writing Contest, Safed House has become a pivotal platform for self-expression and community engagement. Susan's vision has turned Safed House into a catalyst for empathy and challenging and changing the narratives around refugees and immigrants. As we listen to Susan today, let's embrace the possibilities of a more inclusive society where every refugee story is a thread in the rich tapestry of our communities. So now please join me in warmly welcoming Susan Asadi to our panel. Susan.
Thank you, Jacob. And hopefully I'm actually outside in a cafe, so hopefully it's not too loud. Can you hear me without too much interference? Okay. First of all, thank you for that great introduction, because I had a little mini presentation and I think you went through some of it, but I will thank you again for allowing me to speak. And following Harold's great work that he's doing, you know, I feel humbled. You know, I started my organization to give a place of empowerment for refugees and immigrants to share their stories, focused on high school kids primarily, that we work with them to share their story of whatever their diaspora might be. So we're dedicated to representing their unheard voice and providing this platform for them to share their story through our annual essay contest. We took our inspiration, as Jacob so kindly already said, from a town in Israel, Palestine called Safed. It's a small town in the northern Galilee, which was once home to many Palestinians who became refugees in 1948. And I founded this organization 7 years ago with my recently departed husband, who was one of the Nakba, I misspelled it in the presentation, Nakba, N-A-K-B-A, Palestinians who had to leave his homeland in 1948. And timely today, because I don't need to share with everybody, but certainly Palestinians who are living in Gaza have been very much in the news. And, you know, I feel our work in some way has more relevance than ever, particularly if any of those people are able to make it out of any kind of encampment to the U.S. Many of those displaced in Gaza have origins as refugees in 1948. As a matter of fact, I saw some footage on CNN where they were showing, you know, a woman who is like 80 years old who was barely able to walk, and she was a 1948 refugee who had then been living in Gaza. So, you know, basically we hope to promote further understanding between humans of different cultural and religious backgrounds through our work with refugee fellows. And, you know, initially, Sammy was, you know, inspired to do this nonprofit so that he could share his experience as a refugee in America and encourage people to not be angry and find a balance of how to assimilate while keeping some of their tradition. And so that was why we created Safed House. And, you know, what we do is we have these annual essay contests where we give these students a chance to tell their story, and then if they're selected, then we do a video around their experience. So I'd just like to take a minute to show a little bit of the story that we did on Sammy, because I think it will give you a sense of how we do produce our stories. So I'm going to pull that video up for a second and share that with you. Some of the images might look a little familiar, you know, based on the fact that it's from the Middle East.
I want to like ask.
And Susan, are you playing the video right now, or?
I am. Are you not able to see it?
Yeah, I just wanted to, yeah, double check. So I would close out this PowerPoint and maybe stop sharing and then reshare the screen with your video. That might
Ah,
bring, yeah.
I see. Okay, I got it. Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
So then I need to reshare again. I'm sorry. He's so lame here.
No, no.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that.
Can't hear it.
Hi, Susan. Cesar here. You need to make sure that before you share, you click on the box that says share audio. You click on that box.
So you're not able to hear anything?
No, not the video.
Not on the video. Huh. Okay, well, okay. So I'm not sure why that's happening. Were you suggesting, Cesar, that I flip?
So before you start sharing, there's an option on Zoom. There's a box that you need to click that says share audio. So you need to make sure you share the computer audio.
I have to do that in the shares place.
Yeah, just try to share again and you will see that option.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try this one more time, Jacob. I don't know if we continue to have some time. Just let me know if you hear any sound.
I don't know if I could use the word difficult, but the most unusual question that people often ask, where are you from? And that is very difficult to answer. I was born in a country that doesn't exist anymore. I was born before 1948 and in Safad, which is a small town in the Galilee. And all what I remember of it would go to a small hill or small mountain in the back of our house, and that mountain was full with small flowers. Call it bar'ou, it's a red flower coming all over. That's the only thing I remember. Because there was a war going on, the radio was telling us to leave. So people left their homes and all their belongings, including precious things like gold and jewelry. We thought we will go to the border and come back. You know, that was 1 day, 2 days kind of event. But we left and we never were able to come back. We were kids, we didn't realize what was going on. On food. Walking like almost about 100 kilometers or more. So the distance between Damascus and Safad. And we utilized, my mother was, and my 2 younger infant brothers and sisters. But I mean, you know, I don't remember that, but she said like she was so tired at one point of the trip, carrying the toddler and giving him milk, but she couldn't give him milk anymore. And she has this horrible thought like of maybe to survive, to leave him somewhere. She thought about that, but then she was approached by 2 women who who saw what she was doing, and they were African women who were living in Palestine, and they took the baby and milk.
All right, so basically, Jacob, that gives you an idea of the kind of videos that we do. Of course, this was for Sammy as a co-founder. We've every year we do contests. We've had many Syrian refugees. We have had many immigrants from Guatemala who have had stories similar, not exactly to what happened to Harold, but how they were smuggled out and how their handlers were actually, putting them almost like in cattle cars to come. So, and also just, our most recent in the spring, we had a young Vietnamese immigrant who told his story, Tan Vo, about coming here when he was 15 years old and feeling the freedom of, not only having the open arms of being an immigrant, but also having issues around sexual identity. He's a gay man, a gay young boy. And, talking about how he felt more welcome in America to pursue his own lifestyle in the way he needed to, but meanwhile also struggling as an immigrant. So, every year we, award these scholarships to these high school students, and we try to give them a platform to tell their stories. And, so much of what Sammy and I envisioned is a place where people would be more educated. In Sammy's story, I mean, clearly there's a lot of mixed emotion around what's going on in Israel, Gaza right now from people from both backgrounds. And it just so happens I happen to be Jewish and my husband was Muslim. So my family is both backgrounds. And I think, part of the way Sammy tells his story, if, you ever want to see the full video at safadhouse.com, you can see that he, like I would hope more people would be, just shows his humanity, that we're all in this shared experience right now of fear and confusion. And the use of words is very dangerous. I think there's been a lot of, no matter what side you're on, you have to be very careful how you express your feeling. And I think part of what we try to do in doing the videos is allow each person to tell their story in their own words. And I think words, believe it or not, have had so much impact, on each one of their lives. And I think it's had a lot of impact on how we both here in the US and in Israel, and Gaza, Palestine, whatever you want to call it, are digesting what's happening. And I think, one of the things that Safad House very much advocates for and does so in how we work with the refugees and immigrants is allow them to use the words that are familiar to them and create cultural understanding. The most important thing we talk about when we interview our fellows, we call them, is what are the universals and what you've been through so that other people can understand you. I mean, you're not the only person from Guatemala. You're not the only person from Mexico. You're not the only person from Syria, Gaza, Israel, Ukraine. I mean, the way to build human bridges is for us to sort of look at the similarities. I know it sounds a little Pollyanna-ish, but truthfully, it's one person at a time. And I feel at Safad House, we really advocate for that in our small way by telling these stories. And if there's any one thing, Jacob, that would be helpful to us from Global Chamber is if there are any people here, who either know people who of high school age who have been through a difficult escape from wherever their homeland is that you think should be a candidate for our scholarship. It's not a lot of money, but it's $500 for a high school student. That could be a lot of money depending on what your humble background is. And then we do the video and we have it, not only on the website, but we do share it from time to time with some of the national media who are doing stories, about whatever conflict is going on. So we're looking to get more exposure. And, that would be the key thing that we're looking for is exposure that way. And then also, of course, opportunities to partner with other organizations like Harold's work is great. He and I were speaking as we started off, waiting for the rest of the people to enter the room, that, there may be some people who have been of high school age who've been through human trafficking or, viewed it from their parents that might want to share that story. And I think, when people hear stories from individuals, that's usually when you're able to make change, when people go, oh, wow, that just hit my soul, that just hit my heart. And I think, this is something that would be very helpful to us. But thank you, everybody, for being so patient with my technology challenges with the sound. And Cesar, as always, comes to the rescue with like what little button to push. So that would be my presentation. Thank you, Jacob.
No, and thank you so much, Susan. I mean, stories have a transformative power, and so I'm very grateful that you are giving a platform to share stories of people that often, their voices aren't heard. And so we have time for maybe one question for Susan, or a possible connection or an idea. Would anybody from, yes, Maya?
I have a question. So I didn't understand, scholarship for which, is it like high school, or what's the scholarship?
Yeah, the scholarships are for children who moved here as children, and they're first generation. We're really focused on first generation stories. So basically, high school students who want to share their stories of wherever their diaspora is from. As I mentioned, we've dealt with Guatemalan immigrants who've come on the top of trains. We've had Syrian refugees. We've had immigrants and refugees from the Congo as winners of our scholarship. And they do it through an essay. They tell their story through an essay. And then if they're selected, we do a video of their story. Similar to what we showed a little bit, if you're able to hear, see what we did about Sammy, we do it in a shortened form, about a 3 to 4 minute video on their story. And the idea, Maya, is to basically not only give them, because, Harold used the word of empowerment. You can't imagine how important it is for these kids to tell their story. Like I referenced, the young Vietnamese boy who is gay, and he's in a high school of kids where, even though today we have a lot of binary and discussion about everything is open, well, in Phoenix, Arizona, where we've done a lot of our work, it's not as open-minded in that high school. And I think there was a lot of bullying going on with that boy. And I think by him telling his story through the video, and when it was presented, he gained a lot of respect from his peers because he was actually honest and confident in telling his story. And I think it's a little teeny thing, okay, a 3-minute video, but if you can help one person feel more empowered and less frustrated and potentially less angry, I'll tell you, and I'm a strong believer, there'd be a lot less terrorism and hostility in the street. I think if people can find a small community, that's our belief at Safad House.
And I agree. And I'm sorry but I want to make sure that everyone has a chance to tell their story. And so if we have some time at the end, maybe we can dive into.
Sorry, I just want to thank you for sharing the truth, because I think it's really important to hear the truth from people from coming, because the media and news are not truthful, so we should more focus on those stories, and the world will be much better place instead listening the big news. And so just my opinion as an immigrant and foreigner, I feel it, and I know how important that. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. Let's you and I connect on LinkedIn so we can talk more. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Maya. I agree in terms of relevancy. And so as we move ahead, I'm excited to welcome our next guest, Rhodes Adequase, whose dedication and passion with Child Network Organization are lighting the path toward a brighter future for children in Uganda. Rhodes and CNO exemplify the power of community-led initiatives and recently bringing joy to many through their heartfelt Thanksgiving event. And so Rhodes embodies a spirit of hope and determination as he takes this transformative path, which is also including pursuing a dream of becoming a doctor at Eastern Illinois University. His story is about leading an organization, inspiring change, and nurturing dreams. And so let's warmly welcome Rhodes Adequase, a young leader genuinely making a difference in the world. Rhodes, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Jacob. Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be part of this meeting. I've been here before. Fridays for the League of Nonprofits for the Global Chamber. And I'm also serving as the Global Advisor for Global Chamber in Kampala, Uganda. On top of that, I'm the founding member for Child Network Organization, a program that is happening in Chiboga district, that is in the central part of Uganda. The situation in the area is tough with so many vulnerable communities. So this is where we chose to operate from. You can ask me how we came to start this project, Child Network Organization. This is an area, this is a community where I grew up from. It's a different story. Together with my brother, we came up with Child Network Organization. That was around 2018. We started with, there were only 3 kids, 3 little girls. They were our neighbors. We grew up with our grandmother, so life wasn't easy. We went to school and managed to complete high school. My elder brother, the founding member, left to join the military, and so he left me with the community. And I'm happy that I've achieved so many milestones, and we are still going on with Child Network Organization. As I'm speaking right now, we have so many achievements we've made, and with our aim to reach children and single mothers, providing them education, food, clean water, and also sustainability programs like our weaving and tailoring, the computer literacy program. So all these are some of the initiatives that have brought I myself with the team that I've been working with. We formulated the team that is on ground. We're working together with the community to see that we can develop our communities and extend, reach our goal, such that we can thrive. So the program works by directly engaging with the community. We understand their needs and providing tailoring solutions. So some of these vulnerable communities, through education, food, clean water, touching life-changing skills, like the weaving, like I've mentioned before, we are working as volunteers, as a team for Child Network Organization, driven with passion, not pay. So that is our team. None of the team members is paid. We are all volunteers as we are looking at growing and expanding. We are not only looking at Chiboga district, but also expanding to other neighboring communities, and as well leaving the country, crossing to East Africa. By that, we are growing and working with different partners on cleaning water projects, like different companies in the country. We've had so many boreholes that we've put in place with different companies. So I'm so happy to share this all. I mentioned about transformational initiatives. One specific Child Network Organization initiative that has had profound impact on children. I mentioned about education for all. So we believe that education is a powerful tool for empowerment and social change. So we have provided access to quality education and also got some few sponsors for some children, whereby they are on life sponsorship, not until they finish their education. So that's also an achievement. I also mentioned about the community engagement, the child organization, community engagement. We are at heart of what we are doing. We work closely with the local community to ensure the sustainability and relevance of our program. We are actively involving community members in our planning and implementation of these initiatives. So seeking their input and feedback, we are working hand in hand with the community leaders, but not leaving anyone behind. So we sit as a community, we find the problem and also find a solution to the problem. So with the collaborative approach, This helps us to tailor our programs and address the specific needs of the community, and thus ensuring that we remain meaningful and impactful in this long run of ours. I have some personal story. This will also be like a success story to share with you as I'm concluding. I'll share about some child. This has been on our Thanksgiving. I've shared him in different groups. He's called Jeremiah. So this has deeply impacted me during my work personally with Child Network Organization. I had an opportunity to meet a young boy named Jeremiah who had been abandoned by the mother when he was just 6 months old. The mother was a single mother, so he left the boy, he locked him in the house just close to our center, Child Network Organization Center. So the boy was in the house for 2 days, not knowing that the mother had left. The mother was being demanded rent, so he had no way. So she was like abandoning the child. Actually, I would say wanted to kill the child in that way, getting rid of him. So one of the mothers that are carrying out the weaving program reported that, and we went. I myself, I was there. We picked the child. She was almost dying, living on an empty stomach all along. So we picked him, we brought him. So through our feeding program, we saw him transforming to a strong young man. So in the pictures I've been sharing, that's Jeremiah. Let me see if I can attach some links showing the story for Jeremiah immediately after when he was 6 months, 8, that all last year. So witnessing his growth and seeing the positive impact on our programs, which we have had on his life, this is reaffirming my belief in the power of youth development. And it also reminded me of the incredible potential that lies within each child that we are helping. So this also motivates me to continue working towards creating opportunities for them to thrive in the community. Thank you, Jacob, and everyone that has been listening in. And also I'll mention some good news concerning myself. My education was recently admitted at Eastern Illinois University. My admission is going on, though I'm currently looking out for sponsors to help me move forward on this opportunity. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Rhodes. And Rhodes, back in June, my first Global Chamber event, that's when I met Rhodes, and it's been an honor to hear more about his story and hear his impact and work with him in a lot of different ways. And so I'd love to open it up, and are there any questions, comments, anything for Rhodes?
Hi, Jacob.
So,
I will ask
yes.
Rose a question. So, Rose, I want to say thank you. Thank you for involving the community when it comes to empowering the youth. That is such a critical area and often overlooked. So that's really, my statement is really about saying thank you. That's exactly what I'm doing. I've had to go to the elders, the chiefs in the village to get the cultural support as well. And this is how we can build on our networks in a very intentional way. That, the African saying, as you all know, it takes a village to raise a child, is very, very key. So you need to include everyone who's part of that community. So just well done to you, Rhodes. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, and community-led development is a personal passion of mine as well. And especially the Rhodes working with Jeremiah as a young boy with autism, and that's another personal passion in Africa, finding ways to support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. There's not a lot of services and policies to support that population.
Absolutely.
So thank you, Rhodes. All right, and so building on the powerful stories we've heard so far, it's my pleasure to introduce our final presenter, Joe Sullivan from Project Cure Houston, who is making monumental strides in global health through compassionate leadership and impactful initiatives. I'll make mine a little quicker, but Joe Sullivan represents the heart of global healthcare activism, demonstrating how empathy and action can bridge gaps in global health equity. Her work and stories inspire us, reminding us of the power of collective effort in creating a healthier world for all. So let's extend a warm welcome to Joe Sullivan, a visionary leader making a tangible difference every day. It's all yours, Joe.
Thank you, Jacob. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Good. First of all, I have been incredibly moved and honored, and it's been an very intensive week here at Project Cure as we've worked to get shipments into the Middle East for both the Palestinians and the Jewish sufferers of this most recent crisis. So if I'm a bit emotional today, I am so sorry. All of you are doing such amazing transformative work. So let me tell you a little bit about Project Cure. We've been around since 1987, and we are the largest now provider of donated medical equipment and supplies to some of the most at-risk and emerging communities around the world. How we work is we wait for an invitation. I think I've heard this before here in this group, but I know I hear it everywhere. Who am I to tell you what you need? Who am I to tell your villages, your communities, the people that you love and serve what you need? So we wait for an invitation to come in. We're very lucky, and over the last, how many ever years since 1987, which also was the year I graduated from high school, so I should remember exactly our time frame. We built a wonderful relationship with ministries of health, community members, religious and non-religious organizations in countries all over the world who want to make a difference. We get asked a lot about our impact and what we send, and we certainly can talk about impact because everyone these days wants an impact study. But I will tell you from my direct experience here and some of the health outposts and facilities that I've had the honor to visit, we're giving blood pressure cuffs and stethoscopes to physicians who don't have them before. We are coming in many places to build from nothing. So before you can even start counting lives saved and changed, you have to elevate to at least something measurable. And I think people in this particular group will understand that better than anyone. So we've worked with some health outposts that are desperate for a table to even do the most basic exams, all the way to university and teaching hospitals. And we've worked in so many of the countries that I've heard mentioned today. Our to-date numbers that are on the right side of the screen, we've sent over $1 billion in donated medical equipment and supplies to communities around the world. I want to speak very briefly about what it is that we send, because I don't want anyone to misunderstand that we're sending US trash, because we are not. We're just not. Most of our donated equipment and supplies do come from hospitals, medical centers, doctors' offices, local clinics, and in many cases, they're biomedical materials. So they could be an incubator or a baby warmer. And we have volunteer biomedical engineers that come in and quality control, check those items, ensure they are working just like you'd want them to work here in the US for a hospital. And we send that particular item with the correct transformers and converters to work in whatever country around the world. And we also send them with an instruction book. For the supply side, certainly it's easy to quality control and test things like stethoscopes and blood pressure cuffs, but we're also looking for expiration date on items. If anyone here has had the misfortune to have an emergency situation in a US hospital, anything from a required C-section to a heart attack, there's a kit that goes directly to that doctor or surgeon that's going to save your life. It's sealed, and everything they need, from the surgical drape to sutures and scalpel, is all in that kit. Well, what else is in that kit could be a very small bottle of lidocaine that they will use to inject along the incision line so that you don't feel that first cut, right? But that kit saves time, it saves energy, it's very efficient for us. But when that lidocaine expires, the FDA and local governments require that that entire kit is thrown away. We get those kits. We open them up and we remove the lidocaine or anything that's expired and may compromise a patient's health, and we repack everything else that's in there. Surgical kits, including rib spreaders and other things that have a shelf life in US hospitals, but we know how to make them work. Those are the things we send. So we would never send anything that's garbage. How our process works, right? You reach out to us, we're invited in, we have a conversation, and we talk about what we think you may need in your community. If you're in a teaching hospital and you're doing pretty well and you're hoping for something big like a CT scanner, we're very clear up front, we don't get those things donated, so we couldn't help you. Or if you're a person who has a vision to build a hospital, we won't be able to partner with you until you're 75% complete. Otherwise, we have such a long spectrum of things that we can help with, but we want to have a conversation with you first to listen. And then the next part of our process with you is to go into the community, to sit with the doctors and the nurses, and sometimes the hospital officials and managers. And if you have a pharmacy in your hospital, if you're lucky enough to have that, who is that director? And we bear witness. We listen deeply. We take notes. We write down things. We discuss what your needs are based on if you have high malaria or high HIV, or what are your infant mortality rates. We share with you concepts from Western medicine that may not have reached your training yet wherever you are in the world, but we meet you where you are. So I'm a social worker by training, and that for me, do no harm and meet you where you are two key factors. Last year, we sent 225 of these 40-foot cargo containers that were specifically and carefully curated with respect, with compassion, and with the eye towards making sure the community that we send it to is greatly served. We did 54 needs assessments in 29 countries. Now, we have over our history worked in 130 different countries, but we don't work in those same countries every year. I just had the privilege of working with an amazing woman living on a mountaintop in Papua New Guinea. I don't know how we got a container there, but we did it. It was one of the most challenging projects that I've been involved with in my time there. Now, that region's probably not going to see another container for a while. It's expensive, the time that it takes to manage it. But if they need it, we'll start the process. When we're talking about countries like Guatemala, Mexico, Central and tops of South America and Africa, Middle East right now. And last year we sent about 100 containers to Ukraine. So we support both natural disasters, man-made horrors, as well as just needs in communities. We have 7 warehouses across our country here. All 7 of these warehouses will ship on average of 50 containers a year. We have a giant system of inventory that we can talk to each other and know what's in each warehouse at any given time. So if I'm working with a group right now of Ethiopian Americans that all live in Minnesota. As a matter of fact, I'm on a plane this evening to go to Minnesota, and we're going to brainstorm funding for 2 containers. We're doing 9 total, and we have funding for 7. But those containers may pack out of Philadelphia or Nashville because we'll go where most of the items are. Across the country, and as I mentioned, 225 cargo shipments last year to 49 countries and 54 needs assessments, 7 warehouses producing these highly curated containers, and we only have 37 employees. Our overhead is about 2.9%. Each warehouse has 2 employees, an executive director and an operations director. The bulk of our employees are in Denver, and they are all freight forwarding, logistics, supply chain experts. Excuse me. And so we're scrappy. We are scrappy, but that allows us to serve the maximum community without worrying so much about raising funds to overhead. That also speaks to how our funding works. We're very project-based. Once there is a project that we've agreed and cleared to work with, we will work with a diaspora community, the person involved with the primary request. If it's maybe a mission clinic, we'll work with that particular religious or spiritual association. I'm constantly out talking to companies, to individuals, to people that believe in international equity of healthcare and looking for funding. But we're very project-based, and that helps keep our overhead low. But that means that sometimes projects can take 8, 9, 10 months to raise funds. but we're in it together. So we just keep going. I'm going to show some very quick pictures because I know I'm running over. So you'll see this in whatever city you're in, right? This is just, you go up to your hospital, your normal clinic, and this is what you see. This was in the Awassa region in the Oromia part of Ethiopia. This is a medical clinic that serves the same number in the catchment area as that previous hospital clinic, 22,000 people. This was a basic hospital bed. I pulled this from an image of a hospital in Kansas City, I think. And this is what we're seeing in Ethiopia and all around the world. Please don't think this is unique to one country. Basic medical equipment and supplies are so difficult to come by. And it's not because they don't want to do better in these countries and regions. You can't go on Amazon and order a delivery table to get to a region in the center of Africa or the middle of Mexico in the way that other communities can. It's just not available. This particular hospital had 300 births a month. This was one of 2 delivery tables, and this was the other. We can do better than that, my friends. This table isn't as sanitary as you would expect, not because people don't care, it's because there's no running water. And so everything is an effort. But what if we can provide updated medical equipment and supplies so that takes the pressure off of the limited funding that they have, and they can upgrade plumbing and electricity? I want to show a couple of quick success stories. These are some beautiful women that I met. And this particular woman in the middle had a nonverbal, non-mobile child. And through the village elder, because we met with community leaders as well, and we listened to what their needs were, she translated to me that she's carried her child since the very beginning of her life because she isn't able to walk. She asked me if there was a way we could send a wheelchair on the container that's coming to help them, because she's having a difficult time carrying her child. Now, the community carries her. She goes from house to house and stays with people for weeks at a time because she's unable to work or contribute. Her whole life is caring for her child. And I can bet you there will be a wheelchair on that next shipment with this picture on it and a note from me saying that I heard you and I'm listening. I'm headed back to this community in January, so I'll be able to see her again. But I want us to remember that the births and the things we see here in the US market, just because you won't see a delivery table like I shared you, it doesn't mean you're not going to see the miracle of birth or a new life coming into a family or a young woman. Any hospital, any clinic, any village around the world. And I believe if we have these extra things in the US that are life-saving and high quality, not junk or trash, and can transform a community, we owe it to the world to provide them the safety net of a bed, a cradle, a stethoscope. Our ability to change outcomes is not that high. Kids can go to school because they're healthy, right? Moms are not grieving the death of babies because there's a baby warmer or an incubator. I think we have tremendous amount of opportunity to show success through hospital beds that keep a person off of a dirt floor, or people unloading a container in a community. This top right picture is my amazing nurse Julie in Papua New Guinea, and the entire community came out and helped her unload because they know that what we sent is going to be transformative. So that's a little about what we do and how we do it. And I know there's so much more, but I want to be respectful of time since I think we're out of it. So I'll stop now. And if there are other questions, you can always email me.
Well, I'd like to, I mean, for those that have to leave for another meeting, I mean, no time and time is valuable, but I'd like to still open up for some questions. And then at the end, also, say a word of thank you and a call to action to support these leaders that have spoken today. So are there any questions for Joe?
Jacob, I think for Joe, I'm just deeply touched. I literally held back tears. It's just emotional because I love the fact that this is all about, Joe's very clear strength, power, knowledge, understanding, empathy. It's not just about, I want to donate. She's very intentional, and hitting the right spots in the right way, which is very key. Again, I love the fact that she mentioned community leaders. I mean, it's what I'm saying is it's the way forward, but it's just so courageous. Joe, we definitely need to connect, but you're doing an amazing thing. So on behalf of everyone that you have served, I want to say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It truly is an honor. It really is truly an honor.
If possible, I'd love to ask a quick question. My name is George.
Hi, George.
Hi there. Congratulations again on a commendable mission and an amazing vision. Question for you: How are you actually spreading the word, marketing what it is that you do to the global community?
It is an amazing question. And it was when I first joined the organizations, it was one thing that I was most shocked about. We have because we're 2.9% overhead, we have a very small marketing budget. We receive about 70 to 90 inquiries every single month. And that is our capacity right now. So far we haven't hit a month that we thought, oh, we're going to have to spend some tough dollars on marketing to increase our applications or our potential to serve. Having said that, though, we have a person located in Washington, D.C., who meets with all of the embassies in countries that we serve, in countries that we feel like we might have a good fit, but haven't received any requests yet. And then we also work extensively with USAID, Physicians Association, International Healthcare and Humanitarian Aid Associations. We're members of all of those, and we're talking to people who are in those countries working on other projects. You'd be surprised at how many places we've been invited to help who started out with education visions, and somewhere along the way, they've realized that maybe the students or the parents or members of the community couldn't fulfill their education vision because of basic need for healthcare that kept people from school. So it's through this less marketing and more collaboration, outreach, conversations, some international humanitarian, some community-based, and a lot of diaspora community work. A lot. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Thank you for the response. I appreciate it.
Sure.
I just want to say also thank you so much. And I mean, that's so wonderful. It just makes me feel better that there is such a good people in this planet, and that we can actually do something for those people who are suffering. I'm always just like a little curious about why we really don't a little bit deeper and see why the world has so many problems, and why their economy is suffering, and why we have all these wars. You know, maybe that could be better if they don't have the wars, if they don't have suffering, so we don't need to send them something. So I think I mean, I'm so thankful that they can survive and live because of people like you, but also I feel we need to be more open and truth and see the real truth, why things really happening, and then we can change really something. Because just sending the, I mean, amazing. I mean, I went through not really war, but my country was bombed in 1999 by NATO, and it was kind of for the good cause, but actually the people were dying, suffering, and you know, the kids and blah blah blah. So I don't want to go deeply in that, but I'm just saying that there is always a way to avoid the war, and the war is never the answer. And I always say killing is killing no matter what, if it's democracy or whatever. I mean, it's still hurting people. So thank you again for everything you're doing, and I would love to help if I can somehow. But I just also want to kind of share my opinion that we just need to be more open and stop those sufferings. Thank you.
Thank you, Maya. And I really appreciate your input and you know, just your story as well. And thank you for sharing that. And
of course,
yeah, it starts with how we start to solve what's deemed the impossible, are having conversations like this. And yes, did you want to? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But as you know, since we're a little 5 over, you know, as we conclude this inspiring session, I want to express our deepest gratitude to Harold D'Souza, Susan Asadi, Rhodes Adequase, and Joe Sullivan for their transformative presentations. Their stories in the work of Eyes Open International, South House, Child Network Organization, and Project Cure remind us of the profound impact we can have when we come together for a common cause. But we take it one step more. As you know, I really encourage each of us to act in whatever capacity we can. You know, donation is not just money. You know, visit their websites, learn more about their missions, and discover how you can enjoy and join their journey towards creating a better world. And I want to thank again all the remarkable speakers. Thank you for the Global Chamber for hosting such a transformative event. And let's continue building a world where compassion and action go hand in hand. And Cesar, I mean, if you'd like to, if the recording can end, and I would like to keep this room open for anyone that would want to keep the discussion going. But again, I want to thank everyone for not only your input and your presentations, but just your compassion and your passion and your energy towards making this a more just and equitable world for all. If there are no final comments, have an amazing weekend, and please get in touch with all of these speakers today and learn more about their organizations. Speaking about it is one thing, but as I was just having a conversation earlier, it's about acting. We need to stop with the commitments. We need to stop with the talking about making things happen, and we need to start acting. And we have some leaders here today that are doing that. And so thank you again for everything that you do, and have a blessed weekend, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you all in the future.
Yeah, I just want to add one note, Jacob, is that I always say that it's not always money that people have to donate to a non-profit organization, but people can donate their time, their professional approach. Like I have many delegates, like I have a Dr. Scott Silverstein, who donates his time for victims of human trafficking, and he does it free. Okay, and why I say that loudly, because he has done my dental free many years back. And we have an attorney who attended my presentation, and he gave me his business card, and he said, Harold, if any immigrant is there I have to work on, I'll do his paperwork or documentation free. So I really like that. So there are a lot of ways like community members can donate their time or professional approach. So it's not always about money, but always believe that teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you.
Thank you, Harold, for those wise words to close us out. And thank you all
Just
very
a quick
much for
note,
being
Jacob,
here.
as well.
Yes, Reds. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to thank Joe for coming on and joining us. I recently I was in touch with an individual from Project Chua. That was a year back, and we're working on some project here in Uganda. So I'd love to go on and contact Joe on this. Joe, can we keep in touch? Thank you so much, Jacob.
I've already found you on LinkedIn and sent you a friend request.
I love it. All right. That's what drew me to Global Chamber, was this event, and just how much of a group of genuine connectors this is. And I thank you all for your support and your kindness and your efforts, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, Jacob. You did a great job.